With Malik Reneau coming back to Bloomington, is that enough to save the season next year?
You are Locked On Hoosiers, your daily podcast on the Indiana Hoosiers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. It is the Locked On Hoosiers podcast. I'm your man, Jacob Goins. I appreciate you being here, making this your first listen each and every day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Hey, I got to say this. Y'all are killing it. You guys are absolutely killing it on the views, on the listens, on the downloads. So thank you so much for that. The last week and really 2 weeks have been phenomenal in terms of viewership, engagement, sharing, everything. So thank you so much for doing that. It's been a lot of fun. I know the season's over. I know we're in off-season talk when it comes to the men's side, but you guys have been here. You've been loyal, so thank you so much. We're pushing towards 2,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. If you have not done that, it's free. It's easy. Like the video, that spreads the word about us, and then subscribe to the channel. That'll let you know every time we post a new episode. If you're on audio, remember, we're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you so much as well. Want to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. That's why LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. Malik Reneau coming back to Indiana next season. Is that enough to save the season next year? We'll discuss that today on the show, plus other updates around the transfer portal for this Indiana men's basketball team. And we got to preview the game coming up tonight for Indiana women, the Lady Hoosiers. Yes, after getting a win, an easier win, I should say, in the round of 64. They've got the Sooners tonight in the round of 32 with a trip to the Sweet 16 on the line. So that's what's on the show today. Biggest news so far for this Indiana team is the fact that Malik Reneau is returning to Bloomington. He will be on the team once again next season. And I ask you this question: is this enough to save the season next year, in a year that we know it's more than likely do or die for Mike Woodson as the head coach? And look, that may be the case for a lot of you as Hoosiers fans, with just how this program has gone, the state of where we are right now. Is that enough? No, not even close, in my opinion. It's not close to being enough. But I will tell you this: if this didn't happen, if Malik Reneau did not come back, we were in trouble. We were going to be in big trouble, because you are losing your second best player off this past year's team. You're losing one of your most productive guys on the offensive end of the floor. He's a defensive presence. I wouldn't say he was a defensive threat by any means. That's somewhere he can improve, right? Because the guy can't defend without fouling, and he fouled out more than I think anybody I've ever seen in college basketball. So that's something he needs to work on. But his offensive game is where the Hoosiers benefited from. If he were to have walked out the door, and he very well could have, he could go and play at a lot of programs, folks. I think you know that, and I'm telling you that right now. You would be losing a 15-point per game scorer. You'd be losing a guy that blocks half a shot per game. You'd be losing 3 assists, 6 rebounds, a guy that shot, believe it or not, 33% from the three-point line and 56% from the floor in 29 minutes a game. That's what you'd be losing off of this year's team for next year's team. And a team and a roster next year that's already depleted as it is. You lost 3 guys to the portal. You lost some guys to graduation. You're going to lose one to the NBA more than likely. You just don't have a whole lot of guys. So Malik Reneau was, I talked about this the other day on our first portal update episode. He was the key guy to bring back on the roster, because we know how the game is played now. You've got to go out and get guys in high school. You have to go get guys out of the portal, but you also have to re-recruit your own roster. I don't like it. I think it's wrong, but it is what it is. That's where we are in college sports. So Mike Woodson and this staff had to do that. This will help next season. This is going to greatly benefit you next season, because Now you don't lose your second most productive player. You don't lose your 6'9" power forward off your team. You actually have a guy that has some experience in college basketball and here in Bloomington, here in Indiana. He knows what it takes to play here. He knows this coaching staff. He knows the expectations. And all we heard this entire past season was nobody has worked harder than Malik Reneau. Nobody has worked harder, wanted it more, wanted to get better than Malik Reneau. And I think he needs to do that again because his jump from year 1 to year 2 was really good. It was really impressive, in my opinion. I mean, he jumped up in production points-wise by 9 points. His field goal percentage was pretty much the same. His three-point percentage went up. Free throws went down just a hair, but rebounded more, blocked more shots, got more assists. Like, he got better each and every game other than fouls. Other than that, that's somewhere we got to get better. But think about if he can take another jump again next year. He could be a Big Ten All-American. He could be a Big Ten, an all Big Ten type of player, right? That's what I was trying to say. He could be a second team all Big Ten player if he makes another jump. That's going to benefit this team greatly because we just don't know what this roster is going to look like. This is a massive win for Indiana, a huge win for the program, for Mike Woodson to not let him walk out the door. Whether there were some things involved, I mean, you can read into that if you want to on getting him back here, but at the end of the day, he's coming back. Malik Reneau is going to be back in Bloomington, wearing our colors and playing inside of Assembly Hall. And that's a massive win for Mike Woodson in this staff because if you let him walk, how do you replace that? How do you replace your 7-foot center? How do you replace your big power forward that is going to go and be a really good player no matter where he's at? How are you replacing more of these guards? And we're going to get to those other portal updates with guards coming up in just a second. But how are you going to replace him? I just don't think you were going to. It was going to be extremely tough. And I think you, the fans, would have really been upset if we had let this guy walk away. Luckily, we didn't. Malik Reneau coming back to Bloomington. He will be here for another year. And man, it doesn't save the season next year. And it doesn't make up for what happened this past season. But this is huge news for Mike Woodson in the Indiana Hoosiers. Well, coming up on Locked On Hoosiers, more portal updates, guys making visits, guys that Indiana's reached out to, especially on the guard side of things. We'll talk about that coming up in just a minute on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by Nissan. This week's March Madness bracket highlight is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. Just like any of the all-new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to make it to the next level. The North Carolina Tar Heels can only be described as an armada. This one seed is as hardcore as it gets out there, so it's no wonder they secured a spot in the Sweet 16 this Thursday against Alabama. Oh, okay. I was reading that wrong. Apologies about that. They're a favorite picked by many to make a run for a championship. Take the Nissan Rogue, Nissan Pathfinder, or Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Today's episode is also brought to you by FanDuel. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game of the tourney. Whether you're betting on a big upset or on a one seed, it's time to go dancing on America's #1 sports book. Man, what a crazy tournament it's been so far, right? Upsets all over the place. Teams that I did not think were going to be good, even higher seeds, are making a little bit of a run. We're getting into the Sweet 16 now on the men's side. It's been crazy, and hopefully you've taken advantage with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on the point spreads, money lines, or you can still pick who you think is going to win it all. Just visit FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's LOCKEDON and bet on college hoops until they cut down the nets. Again, that's FanDuel.com/lockedon. thank you so much for making Locked On Hoosiers your first listen each and every day. Appreciate you being here. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are on YouTube, and make sure you hit the notification bell wherever you get your podcast. Well, Malik Reneau was a big update for this Indiana team when it comes to the transfer portal. Not that he was in it, but he very well could have been, and he decided to come back. But we have other updates around what this Indiana program has been doing in the transfer portal. And thank goodness they've been reaching out, and they've been making some phone calls. They've been making calls, and rightfully so. They understand that there is a massive necessity for this team when it comes to guard play, right? That's the biggest thing I think we need right now. Still looking for some big guys inside, but man, we got to get some guards that can handle the ball, play a little ball, and can shoot the ball. And that's where Indiana's going as of right now, trying to get a couple of guys on campus. And the first one is a guy we mentioned already a couple of episodes ago. It's the Belmont transfer, Jacoby Gillespie, who is a really, really good guard. Little bit undersized, nothing crazy though. 6'1". He has got visits going for Maryland, Virginia Tech, and LSU. Indiana trying to get him on campus. Kansas, I think, is in there a little bit as well. And apparently Bill Self's been thinking about next season, so maybe they've already reached out to him. Those were wild comments. This guy's from Tennessee, 4-star transfer, according to 247, and number 40 overall, and the number 6 point guard. So, yeah, I think we could benefit by using him because we don't have a true point guard. We just don't. We don't have a true point guard that is Big Ten capable right now on the roster. Here's what this guy did a year ago, this past season at Belmont, okay? 17 points, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 56% from the floor, and almost 40% from three-point range, and he's got 2 years left of eligibility. Yeah, I think that's what we're looking for here. And you start naming some of those other schools, Virginia Tech, LSU, Maryland. Come on, man. We ought to be able to beat those teams in a recruiting battle every day of the week. And I don't care about Kansas either. We should be able to out-recruit them, especially for guards. Come on, that's what we're putting in the league and what we have put in the league for a long time. So, look, this guy is the whole package. Go watch his film. All you got to do is type it in here on YouTube. It's easy to find. I've done it. The guy's got it all. He can handle it. He can create his own shot, which is something I just, from the outside more than anything. And he can get to the basket too. Something we just haven't had at the guard spot. Like Xavier Johnson used to have it, and then he kind of lost it. And I think the injuries kind of affected that. And Trey Galloway, I know he's a shooting guard, but when he wanted to, he could. But other times he would just sit back and kind of watch everybody else play. The Hoosiers need a go-getter like Gillespie. And if you bring a guy like this in, he can go get a bucket when you need one. Right, those late game situations where it's a tie game or it's a one-possession game either way. This past season, what did we say? Well, give it to Khalil Ware and Malik Reneau and hope they can do something with it. Sometimes they did, sometimes they didn't. But we didn't have any trust in our guards to go get a bucket. We didn't have any trust in our guards to go get and make a play for us to win a basketball game. Now, again, sometimes it happened, but that's not where we were thinking. That's not what we expected to happen. You bring a guy like this in Gillespie from Belmont, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. You're going to say, hey, give it to him and get out of the way. A guy that shot over 50% from the floor, 40% from three, yeah, he can do that. And that's what we need next year. We need a leader, a commander, a floor general that can also do what you need to do on the scoreboard and actually got to put up numbers in the stat sheet. I'm tired of looking at guards for this program that are in this team that don't do anything. And yeah, I'm looking at you, Gabe Cups. I love you, brother, but you're non-existent out there. And that can't be what we're putting on the floor as a starting five. I'm sorry. It's not going to get it done. So this would be a massive guy to at least get on campus, right? Then we had that conversation about, okay, what's our selling point here at Indiana? What is our selling point for guys to come here to Bloomington? And I think we've got some arguments. I think we've got some things. But a guy like him isn't going to come alone. That's a big part of this too. That's a huge thing in the portal nowadays. all these guys talk. They all talk together. They all know each other, whether it be in person or over social media and texting or whatever now, right? The internet has allowed us and all these college athletes to know one another, or at least begin to know one another. And they're not going to go somewhere that doesn't benefit them and that they're not going to have a great chance to win and have fun doing it and get better. And a guy like this, a very sought after point guard, is not just going to take a chance on his own, which means Indiana's got to go get some other guys. And they've been doing that. They've talked to Jordan Sears from UT Martin. He's another point guard. He's a little bit on the shorter side, 5'11", but this guy's a baller, man. 21.5 points, 4.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds, 43% from the floor, and 43% from three. How about that? Led the Ohio Valley Conference in scoring and got them their second regular season conference title for UT Martin. There's another guy, again, a little bit on the shorter side, but an absolute bucket, okay? A guy that can just flat out score the basketball. That's what we need. Bring multiple guys in. I think that's what they're going to have to do. He's the number 10 overall transfer and the number 1 transfer shooting guard in the country. Get them both. Get them both. Could you imagine a point guard that's coming in scoring 17 points a game and a shooting guard that's scoring 21 points a game, and both of them shoot over 40% from three? We wouldn't know what to do when these guys stood on the floor and started banging them home from three. It'd be unbelievable. We wouldn't know what to think. We wouldn't believe what we're seeing inside of Assembly Hall. I'm not saying you're going to get both of them, but the opportunity's out there. And the good news is for you, Hoosier fan, is Indiana's reaching out to these guys. They're at least trying. They're trying. They're trying to get them in the door. Other guys that we're after, Sky Clark from Louisville, Leland Walker from Eastern Kentucky. Like, you have guys that we're reaching out to, and these are all high-level guards, top 10, top 15 transfer guards in the country. It's not hard to realize the problems that we have, and it's not hard to try and address them because the portal is more active than it's ever been before, and it's always going to be that way because that's where we are in the game. You've got to go get them. You've got to go get them. You've got to go bring them in. We need ball handlers, we need players, and we need shooters. And if we can bring that in, along with what's coming back with senior leadership like Trey Galloway, you've got your big man down low for now. I think we need another one. With Malik Reneau, yeah, I think we're okay. I think we'd be in a much better spot and could have a lot more talent on the team next year, which is crazy because I thought this past year's team was talented. It just didn't end up shaping up that way. But the Hoosiers are active in the portal, but you got to get some commitments and you got to start making some noise there. We'll keep you updated. That's where we are right now. We can't participate in the NCAA tournament, but we can get a jump on the NCAA tournament, and that's what we're doing, or on the NCAA transfer portal, and that's what Mike Woodson and this Indiana Hoosiers team is doing right now. Well, coming up, final segment on Locked On Hoosiers, the Lady Hoosiers are competing in the NCAA tournament. They take on Oklahoma tonight in the round of 32 for a chance to move on to the Sweet 16. We'll talk about that in our final segment coming up on Locked On Hoosiers. Today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. When you're hiring for your small business, you want to find quality professionals for the right role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all of that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Within a day you post it, 86% of small businesses are finding their person right there and then. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats. It might not have the time or the resources to hire. I get it. But 2.5 million small businesses are using LinkedIn for hiring right now. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. LOCKEDONCOLLEGE to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Final segment here on Locked On Hoosiers. Appreciate you being here, making this your go-to spot for all things Indiana athletics. Reminder, we're free and available wherever you get your podcast. While the men are not in the NCAA tournament, good thing is the women are. Yes, the Indiana Lady Hoosiers are in the NCAA tournament. Got a nice first round win, did Indiana, in the round of 64. Wasn't all that bad for them. They took down Fairfield 89-56. You don't get to say this often in the NCAA tournament, men or women, but got to cruise to a victory in game one. Now we've got an interesting Oklahoma team in our second game of the tournament coming up this evening on ESPN2 against the 5-seeded Sooners with your 4-seeded Indiana Hoosiers. And this is an Oklahoma team that is coming off a barn burner against Florida Gulf Coast 73-70. Took every single second for Oklahoma to win that game. For a while, I thought we were going to end up playing Florida Gulf Coast. I really did, but Oklahoma able to get it done there at the end. And you look at these two squads, they are, in terms of style of play, they are completely opposite. Completely opposite. This Indiana team, we know, look, we like to score, and we can score at will, but we're not just going to run up and down the floor and try to hang 100 on you. We've got people and we've got players that get down low, do the dirty work, aka Mackenzie Holmes, and we just bang down low. We're going to get a bucket, probably get a foul, make some free throws, turn you over, and play our brand of basketball. Oklahoma, on the other hand, the Lady Sooners, they're doing this. They're running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I read a stat the other day that said they shoot the basketball more times than not within 10 seconds or less of each possession. That's crazy. That is insane. And you watch them against that FGCU team, and that's exactly what they did. They go down, they run a quick set, and they get a shot off, especially against a good team like Indiana, who's a good team defensively. That's what they're going to try and do. Is they're going to run, they're going to get transition. They don't want us to set up and play 5-on-5 because our defense is too good. They can't score like they normally do against our set defense. So they're going to try and run. And so Indiana, we've got to find a way to overcome that. We're favored by 8.5 points tonight, which if this was a regular season game in non-conference play, yeah, I would say take that and take it hard, right, on FanDuel. But I just don't know, man. Tournament games are just so different. They're so different because you just never know what's going to happen. Look at what's already been happening in the men and women's tournament. It's been insane, and we knew it would be this year, but I don't know. Good thing is, we are at home. We're playing right here in Bloomington, over at Assembly Hall, right down the road from me. You're playing right there in Assembly Hall where tons of fans showed up for game one, and I expect that to be the case again tonight. And I love it. I want to petition for the men's tournament to have home games too. We do it for baseball. We're about to start doing it for football. Why not do it for men's basketball in the NCAA tournament? I think we should. I absolutely think we should. So that way we're not sending teams from North Carolina all the way out to California and then back up to New York and then to Texas and Arizona. Like, it's just insane to have teams flying all over the country for the entire tournament. And thankfully, the Lady Hoosiers are benefiting off of playing at home. And I think that's going to carry them to a nice win tonight. Well, I think it'll be easy. No, not necessarily, but we are playing our best basketball. I think we're feeling good. I think we're feeling healthy. And overall, I just think we're the better team. I keep telling you, look, we're not a 4 seed. We're much better than a 4 seed. We're just not getting the love that we need. But this Oklahoma team, man, you got to watch out for them. You got to watch out for them. They just escaped because a shot that missed at the buzzer. You've got Skylar Vann, who had 24 points for them. They got a couple of freshmen. That's Sahara Williams as a player too. Look, if we rely on our defense and we don't turn the ball over and we just feed our two players, right, Holmes and Scalia, if we just do that, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Play our game. Don't get rattled. Use the home crowd. And I think we win. And I think we move on to yet another Sweet 16. It is a 4-5 matchup, so you never know what's going to happen. And upsets do happen. This is the NCAA tournament. I just don't think, if we play our game, they're not better than us. They're not better than us. And this team is buying into the mindset of survive and advance. Win your game and move on. Play the team in front of you. Beat the team in front of you. And I think that's what the Lady Hoosiers do tonight. I think we win. I think we move on to the Sweet 16. 8.5-point favorite. You know what? Get on FanDuel right now and lock it in. Lock it in. Go do it. I think Indiana wins. I'll say we win by double digits. How about that? I think we win by 10 or more by the end of it. I think we pull away down the stretch. It'll be close early, maybe even close at the half, but I think we'll pull away down the stretch inside of Assembly Hall. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Hoosiers. I appreciate you being here again. If you followed us all through the show, thank you so much. Like the video on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. It's free. It's easy. Each one takes literally one tap with your thumb. That's it. That's all you got to do. Helps us out, helps the show grow, which it has been tremendously. So thank you so much for that. We'll have episodes all week long right here on Locked On Hoosiers. So until next time, Hoosier fans, stay safe, and I'll talk to you later.